Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tastyworks tutorial series. In today's video, we're going to be doing a full step-by-step tutorial of the Tastyworks mobile app. Now there is definitely a lot to cover and many different features I want to go over, but in today's video, I'm going to focus on the things I think you're actually going to be using on a daily basis. That's going to include things like the overall navigation of the app, how to both buy and sell stock and options, and how to create a watch list for yourself. Now this may definitely end up being a long one, so feel free to check out the timestamps down below in the description if you guys need to jump ahead to a specific topic. Also, I want to mention that if you guys are already planning on opening a Tastyworks account and want to help me out a little bit, please use my link down below. It'll really help me out a lot. Now jumping right into it, you can see all of the navigational tabs at the very bottom of the app. So you're going to see their watch list, positions, trade, activity, and the Tastytrade button. Now some of these tabs do speak for themselves, like the Watchlist tab, the one we're looking at right now, is simply a list of companies that we want to keep track of. The next one at the bottom is the Positions page. This is really like an account overview page. This is where we're really going to be able to see what is going on in our account right now. What positions do we hold? How many shares do we have? How many contracts do we have? Are we up? Are we down? Basically, what is going on in our account right now. The next tab at the bottom, marked Trade, kind of speaks for itself. This is where we're going to place trades in the platform, or at least one place we're going to place trades. Up there at the top where it says search symbol, we could simply type in a symbol that we want to trade. Like let's say we want to trade Facebook, we'll just type in FB, and we'll click on it in the list there at the very top. From there, it then gives us the option to either trade the options or the stock, and once we click on that, it either takes us to an option chain or to an order ticket to buy or sell the stock. Now don't worry, we're going to dive very deep into how to actually place trades on here, but we're going to skip over that for right now, continue with the navigation. The next tab at the bottom you can see is the activity page, which if we click on that, this is where you can see all of the trading activity in the account. And that can either be current activity for today, like working orders, or it could be past trading activity, so past filled orders, canceled orders, and it's really just a way to see the historical activity in your account. The very last tab at the bottom is going to be the Tastytrade button, which is where we can see all of the trading activity from traders at Tastyworks. So what have they bought today? What have they sold today? And if you wanted to copy these guys, I suppose you could come in here and follow what they're doing, although I wouldn't really recommend it. Now I think that gave you a nice little intro to the basic or very simple navigation of the app. So let's go ahead and hop over to the watch list page, and we're going to start with that. Now, right off the bat, you can see at the very top of this watch list page is the watch list that I'm currently looking at. And in my case, I named it Options. From there, on the left-hand side, you can see all of the stock tickers that I've added to this watch list. Things like Facebook, SoFi, Micron, Palantir. And looking just to the right of the stock tickers, you can see the last traded price for the day, the net change for the day, so how much it was up or down, and then the bid price. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but if you scroll your finger to the left, you can also see other information, like right now I've got the ask, the dividend yield, and the IV rank for that stock ticker as well. Now from this page, if you ever want to access other watch lists that either you have made or that Tastyworks has made for you, all you have to do is click on that little drop-down arrow at the very top of the page next to the watch list name that you're looking at. So in my case, it says Options right there, so we're going to go ahead and click on that. Once I do, you can see all of the watch lists that they have made for us, like Tasty, Crypto, Dividend, or if we scroll down, we can go to the Personal section, which is where all of the watch lists I've made are stored. So if we click on that, we can see I've got an Options watch list and a Practice watch list. If I were to click on the Practice watch list, you can now see that I only have 3 stock tickers in there: Microsoft, Facebook, and Square. If I wanted to make a brand new watch list, all I would have to do is come up here to the Edit button in the upper right-hand corner. From there, you're then going to click on the button that's marked Manage Your Lists. From there, it's then going to bring up a tab that allows us to either create a brand new watch list or rename or completely delete an old watch list. So in my case, if I wanted to actually delete that Practice watch list, which only had, I think, 3 stock tickers in it, I could simply click on the little trash can icon and I just got rid of it. If I wanted to create a brand new watch list, let's mark it Test 1. I'm going to go ahead and click in the Enter List Name box, and we'll go ahead and name this Test 1. Now that I'm happy with that, we'll just hit Done, and I can see my new watch list has been added down there in the bottom section. Now to access that watch list and add symbols to it, all we have to do is exit out of it, and then from there, all we have to do is click on the watch list name up at the top, scroll down to our personal list of watch lists, and then find the one I just created marked Test 1. From there, you can see it automatically added SPY to our watch list, but let's say we wanted to add a couple different tickers to this guy. So to do that, all we have to do is come up here to the search box. Looks like a little magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner. From there, it brings up a window where we can search for the stock tickers we want to add. So in our case, let's say we wanted to add Twitter, TWTR. We can see it in the list there, and on the right-hand side, you're gonna see a little pair of binoculars. All we have to do is click on that pair of binoculars. It's then gonna ask us which watch list we wanna add Twitter to. In our case, we only wanna add it to the Test 1 watch list, so we're gonna go ahead and click on that. From there at the top, you can see Twitter has been added to our watch list, and let's go ahead and add a couple more just for practice. We're gonna add a Square, SQ, click on the binoculars, and then click on the Test 1 watch list. Next, let's go ahead and add Facebook as well, FB, hit the binoculars, Test 1. And I think you guys get the idea. It's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is search for the stock ticker you want to add, find it, click on the binoculars, and then send it to the watch list you want it to be on. Once we're done with that and we go back to our watch list, we can now see all of those new stock tickers that we've added. We also have the ability to delete symbols if we want to get rid of them, or reorganize this page a little bit if we wanted to. And all we have to do that is click on the edit button in the upper right-hand corner. You saw as soon as I clicked on edit, it gives me the ability to now kind of drag and drop these symbols if I want them in a different spot. Or if I simply wanted to delete a symbol like SPY, I could just click on the little trash can icon to the right of it. Once I'm happy with the new layout and I've deleted the symbols I want to get rid of, we'll simply hit done in the upper right-hand corner. Now, one of the last things we'll talk about on the watch list tab is how you can reorganize these column headers up at the top, where you saw last, net change, bid and ask, and then dividend yield right here. To change those columns or reorganize them, all you have to do is click on the little gear icon up here at the very top. As soon as you click on that, it brings you to the Configure Columns page where we can see all of the columns we currently have. From there, you have the ability to drag and drop them if you want them in a different spot. Or if you look at the very bottom where it says Edit Table Columns, that's where you can add new columns to our watch list tab. So let's say we wanted to click on that and we wanted to add, let's see here what looks good. We want to add liquidity. So we're going to go ahead and click on the box next to liquidity. And scrolling this, I also want to see volume, so we're going to go ahead and add that. And we're going to hit the Save and Reorganize button. From there, you can see all of the new columns that we've added to our watch list. And like I said, if you wanted to reorganize this, you could. Let's say we wanted volume to be on the very first page. I'm going to go ahead and drag that up. And we also wanted IV rank and liquidity on the second page. So we're going to go ahead and drag that up as well, and then move bid to the third page. Now that we're happy with that, we'll simply hit the back button. And now we can see all of the new column headers and the new placement for those column headers as well. Now, finally, the last thing we're going to talk about on the watch list page is how you can actually access quote information as well as a chart for each one of these tickers from this page. Now, to do so, it's actually pretty straightforward. All you have to do is click on the ticker symbol itself. So in this case, let's say we wanted to look at a chart for Facebook. All we have to do is go ahead and click on FB right there. As soon as we do, you can see the Facebook stock profile page opens up at the very bottom. To the right of Facebook, we can see what it's currently trading for, $298.98, and it's up 1.46% today. Now, right below that is the important stuff, the actual chart, the quote details, and some upcoming events for Facebook. Starting with the chart page, if we go ahead and click on that, you're going to see a chart for Facebook. Now, the chart itself is not very customizable. There's really not a whole lot we can change other than simply zooming in if we want to get a closer look, or scrolling left or right if we want to go back in time and forward in time. The only real thing you have the ability to change on here is the time frame that we have selected. So down at the bottom, you can see 1 day, 1 month, year to date, 1 year back, and then 5 years back. Like I said, other than that, not a whole lot of customization you can do to the chart. But moving on from that, if we click on quote details next, we can now see a lot of good stock information about Facebook. We can see it's open for the day, its high and low for the day, its current bid and asking price, as well as the volume and liquidity rating for Facebook in this case. And then moving off of that, the last tab in here that we're going to look at is the upcoming events tab, which if we click on it, we can see that they're going to announce earnings on February 2nd, right after the market closes. You would also see things like dividends here or splits of some kind. Basically anything that's really important that is an upcoming event, this is where you would see it. Now, I think we did a good job breaking down all of the information on the watch list page. That's pretty much everything you could need or want to know about how to create and customize watch lists on here. So moving off of that, let's next jump into how to actually place trades in this app. Now, one way, and you might have already noticed this, is this big green button in the lower right-hand corner that right now says Trade Facebook. Now, that is one of the ways to place a trade in this app. So if we go ahead and click on it, from there, you're going to see 3 separate buttons pop up: the strategy button, the stock button, and the option button. Now, these buttons are how you're going to place specific types of trades, whether it be an actual stock trade or an option trade. In our case, for the very first example in here, let's go over how to buy and sell stock first off. So we're going to go ahead and click on that stock button. From there, it takes you directly to an order ticket for the underlying stock of Facebook. Now, this order ticket is pretty straightforward. All it's asking you is what you want to do. So right off the bat, you can see the buy button is highlighted, telling us that we want to buy some shares of Facebook. Right below that, we have the various order types that are available to us. Right now, we have limit selected, but if you go ahead and click on that, you can see the other order types available. So you can see there you also have the ability to place market orders, stop market orders, and stop limit orders. And to use that order type, all you have to do is click on it. So if we wanted to place a market order, we would simply click on market. And now what we're saying is we just want to buy these shares of Facebook immediately. We'll take whatever the current price is, just get me those shares as fast as possible. If we wanted to flip it back to a limit order, we'll just click on that and then go back to limit. And for those of you new to trading, remember a limit order simply means we are specifying a price. We only want to buy these shares of Facebook if we can get it for a certain price or better. Now, right below the order type is the time in force box, which simply means how long and when do we want this order good for. As of right now, we've got it marked as a day order, which simply means if it does not fill by 4 p.m. Eastern time today, go ahead and cancel the order. If you were to click on that time in force button where it says day, you're going to see the other options listed out there like GTC, which stands for good until canceled. That would mean if the order does not fill by 4 p.m. today, go ahead and try again tomorrow at 9:30. If it doesn't fill by the end of the market session tomorrow, try again the next day, and the next day, and so on until it actually fills or until I cancel it myself. Hence the name, good until canceled. Right below that is a very similar time in force button, and that's marked GTD, which just stands for good till date. Basically, it's going to work exactly like the GTC order, except you're setting a threshold for it, a time threshold, saying if it has not filled by XYZ date, go ahead and cancel the order. Now, the last one listed there is an EXT order. That is only good for the day, but it also includes the pre and post market as well. So if you want your order ticket to try and fill in the pre-market, regular market, and post-market, that would be an EXT order. Now, moving off of that, let's say we wanted to leave it as a day order. We can then see the quantity box right below that. And that's simply where we're going to specify how many shares of Facebook do we actually want to buy. So in this example, let's say we only wanted to buy 5 shares. We can just click inside that box, delete what's in there, and in this case, we'll just type in 5 and hit done. Now, the last thing below that is the limit price. This is where we're going to specify the limit price that we want to set for this order ticket. In our case, it currently says $300 or now $299.97. It's currently moving with the current price for Facebook. But let's say we only wanted to buy Facebook if it dropped down to, let's say, $290. We'll go ahead and click in there, delete it out, and then type in $290, and then hit save at the very bottom. So now what I'm saying is I only want to buy these 5 shares of Facebook today if I can get it for $290 or better. Right below that, you can also see my current stock and options buying power in this account, and then the BP effect, how much money I would actually need in this account to do this trade. In my case, you can see I've only got $490 in buying power, whereas the BP effect is $1,450, so I would never actually be able to place this trade in this account. I don't have enough money. But if you actually did want to place it, everything looked right, you would simply hit review and send, the little orange button in the bottom right-hand corner. From there, it would simply take you to an order ticket, and it's just confirming all of the information we put on the previous screen. If everything looked right, the price was right, the time in force was right, you would simply hit submit in the lower right-hand corner. Now, moving off of that, let's go ahead and clear this out of here, and we'll hit yes to continue. Let's say we next wanted to place an option trade in here. So what I'm going to do is go back to the Watchlist tab, and this time we're going to place an option trade on Square. So we're going to go ahead and click on SQ here. From there, I'm going to click Trade SQ in the bottom right-hand corner, the green button. This time, I'm going to click on the word option. From there, you can see it takes me to the actual option chain for Square. And for those of you not familiar with this, I'm going to break down what you're seeing right now. First off, on the left-hand side, you can see all of the dates of expiration available for Square options. So there you can see January 28th, February 4th, February 11th, and many, many more. To the right of some of those expirations, you're going to see a orange W, which simply is denoting those options which are weekly expirations. The ones without the W are the standard monthly contracts. Now, really, you don't have to treat those any differently than one another. The weekly options simply have not existed for as long as the monthlies. The monthlies could have been created years ago, whereas the weeklies were only created up to 7 weeks ago. So in reality, the only real noticeable difference between the two is that the monthly contracts could be more liquid than their weekly counterparts. And that really just makes sense. The monthlies have been around longer, so more people trade them more actively. Now, moving to the right of that, looking down the center, we can see the number of days until expiration. So in the center there, you can see the top expiration expires today, the next one 7 days from now, then 14 days, 21 days, and so on. To the right of that, we can see the implied volatility for each expiration as well as the implied move for that expiration. The final thing we'll talk about before actually opening up one of these expirations is the purple line going horizontally through our screen there. That is simply denoting the earnings date for Square in this case. You can see there it's telling us that Square announces earnings on February 24th, right after the market closes. Now moving off of that, once you decide which of these expirations you actually want to trade or at least look at, all we have to do is click on one of them. So let's say for this one, we wanted to look at the February 18th monthly expiration. We'll go ahead and click on that to open it up. From there, as soon as I do, you can see the option chain and you can see all of the strikes listed right down the middle. So at the top there, you can see the 85s, the 90s, the 95s, the 100s, and then eventually you hit an orange line going horizontally through the screen. That orange line is going to denote the in the money versus the out of the money options on both the call and the put side. Now there's also a very subtle shading difference between the in the monies and the out of the monies. I have a very hard time seeing it, so I just always look for that orange horizontal line going right down the center. Another thing you might notice is that orange bar next to some of those strikes there, starting with kind of at like the $96 mark, going all the way down to like mid 123-ish. And that is simply the implied move being expressed on our option chain. So looking back in the upper right-hand corner, we can see the implied move for February 18th is $13.96. And that's all that orange bar represents. It's a plus or minus roughly $14 move from Square's current price. Now, I might not have mentioned it, but you should be able to see it very clearly. The call options are on the left-hand side, the put options are on the right-hand side, and the two columns that we're looking at right now are the bid and the asking price for those options contracts. Now, in this platform, whenever you want to buy an option, you click on the asking price. Whenever you want to sell an option, you click on the bid price. So let's say for this example, we wanted to buy the 120 call options. If I look down at the 120 calls, we can see that they're currently trading for $3.80 by $4 at the moment. If I wanted to buy that call option, all I would have to do is click on the current asking price and it just flipped over to $4.05, but all we have to do is click on it. As soon as I do, you can see it gets highlighted in green, telling us what we're about to do. We're about to buy the 120 call. Now down at the very bottom, we can also see our order ticket being built out, and from left to right, it says we want to buy one of the February 18th 120 calls, and looking a little bit above it to the right, we can see the limit price currently set is $4.05. Now to change the price, we could simply use that little red arrow if we wanted to bump down the price, or the green arrow if we wanted to bump up the price we were willing to pay, or if we wanted to change the number of contracts we were buying, or maybe the time in force, how long we wanted this order good for, we could always click on the More button on the far left-hand side. It looks like three little dots. From there, you can see a big menu pop up, but really the only thing we're focusing on is the quantity box, the limit order type, and the time in force. If you wanted to bump up the number of contracts we were buying, you would simply hit the up arrow to the right, and you can see my contracts changing from 3 right now to 4 to 5 to 6 as I continue hitting the up arrow. If I wanted to change the order type itself, I could click on the word limit there, and I've got all the other order types available. Limit, market, stop limit, stop market. Below that, if we exit out of it, we just say limit again. You can also see the time in force box, which is currently marked as a day order. If I wanted to change that, I would simply click on the word day there and flip it over to, let's say, good until canceled at the very bottom. So now what I'm saying is I want to buy 6 of the 120 calls. I want it to be a good until cancel order, and I'm only willing to buy it for $4.05 or better. If you actually wanted to submit this order, you were happy with everything, you would simply hit review and send in the lower right-hand corner. From there, it takes you to an order ticket just like before. You would just confirm everything looks right, you would submit the order, and then you're good to go. Now in our case, let's go ahead and clear this out, and let's build another one just as an example. Let's say for this next one, we actually wanted to sell a put option because we were neutral to bullish on Square in this case, and we thought it was going to stay above, let's say, $90 a share. So right there, we can see the $90 puts are trading for $1.99 by $2.20. If we wanted to sell that put option, we just need to click on the bid price, $1.99. From there, you can see it gets highlighted in red because we're selling the option this time. It also tries to make it very clear that we're selling because it says a negative number right there saying we're selling one of the $90 puts, and we're doing so for $1.99 credit. Now another cool thing about this app is if we wanted to turn it into a spread, we would simply need to click on the next leg that we wanted to buy or sell. So let's say we actually wanted to turn this into a short vertical put spread. We didn't want to tie up so much capital, and we wanted to buy another put as a hedge. So to do that, all we would have to do is find the put that we wanted to buy along with this one. In this case, let's say we wanted to make it a 10-point wide vertical, and we wanted to buy the $80 put, currently going for 94 cents by $1.05. Since we want to buy it, we're going to go ahead and click on the asking price. And now you can see that two separate options are highlighted. We're selling one of the 90s while simultaneously buying one of the 80s. And these do have to fill simultaneously. It's impossible for one to fill without the other filling. Now down below you can also see the order ticket specifying exactly what we're about to do, and you can see we're doing so for a total credit of $1.10. Now if you wanted to confirm everything looks the way we want it to look, we would hit review and send, and up there at the very top it's going to confirm that we are putting on a vertical put spread. And at the very bottom you can also see that we're doing so for a max profit of $110 or a max loss of $8.90 if things go completely against us. Now one last thing I'll show you on that option order ticket if we edit out of this for a second. If you were to scroll down on this order ticket right here, you can also see a lot of good info right there. Things like the overall delta for this trade, the overall theta, the probability of profit, the BP effect, and your max profit and max loss. So looking left to right, we can see the delta on this trade is 7.52, telling us that this is a neutral to bullish trade. Since it is a positive delta, this is bullish, but the delta is very low, so it's more neutral than bullish. Right below that, we can see the overall theta is $4.14, telling us we're going to make about $4.14 every day that passes. To the right of that, probability of profit being 84% is telling us there is an 84% chance we're going to make at least 1 penny on this trade. To the right of that, you can see the BP effect is negative $8.90, telling us we need $890 to do this transaction. And then like we talked about before, the max P or max profit is $110, whereas the max loss is $890. Now you can see this with any type of trade that we were to do. If we were to drag this short put option and drag it down, make the spread wider, we can see that we increase our overall delta, we increase our theta, and we increase our max loss if we were to adjust it like this. But if we were to grab the long leg and drag it down as well, we can see that we again reduce the delta, reduce the theta, and reduce our risk. So we can kind of drag and drop these and see what's comfortable for us. Now lastly, I will also mention that you have the ability to change the column headers up here at the very top of your option chain where we currently see bid and ask. If you wanted to add additional columns that you found helpful, you could always click on the little gear icon up at the very top of the page. From there, you can see my current columns. I've got bid and ask, which are locked in there. You can't change those. But then right below that, you've got delta, probability out of the money, and theta. If you wanted to add additional columns, you would simply hit edit table columns down at the very bottom. And then just like on the watch list page, we just need to scroll through this and find the things that we want to add. If we wanted to add volume, we'd simply click on the little bubble to the right of it and then hit save and reorganize. Now when we go back to the option chain, if we were to scroll to the left, we can see those other column headers up there at the top. Theta, volume, out of the money percentage, and delta. Now the last thing I'll talk about on this page, and just briefly, is going to be this curve table at the very top. I'm going to save this for a separate video, but it might be nice to know that you can actually visualize the overall risk on the trade you're about to do right here. So this is the P&L curve, how much money you're going to make or lose over time for this particular vertical put spread. Now again, we're not going to spend any time here. I just wanted you to know it's here. And again, you simply click on the curve button at the very top. But going back to the table, we can again see the option chain. Now I think the last feature we're going to cover in today's video is how you can close out an open position. So going back to the positions page where we can see I've got 1 share of Palantir in this account. If you wanted to close a position from here, all you would have to do is click on it. From there, it gives you 3 separate options. Do you want to close the position? Do you want to create a new trade? Or do you just want to get details about Palantir? In my case, if you simply wanted to close out a position, all you have to do is click on close a position. As soon as you do that, whether it be stock or an option, it's automatically going to take you to a closing transaction. In my case, it's saying I want to sell 1 share of Palantir at a limit price of $12.65. If you wanted to adjust that, you would simply click on the things that you want to change. Let's say I wanted to make this, instead of being a limit order, a stop market order, and I wanted to put the activation price at, let's say, $10. So we'll go ahead and change that to 10. So now what I'm saying is, if Palantir ever drops to $10 or lower, put out a market order to get me out of this thing. If I actually wanted to submit it, I would hit review and send and submit the order. Now in my case, you can see it's no longer going to let me because the market is actually closed, but this is all you would have to do. Now I know that was a lot and I went through it pretty quickly, but that is just about everything you guys need to know to get started on the Tastyworks mobile app. If I did miss anything or you guys have any additional questions for me, please let me know down below. But I will also say that I have made a bunch of other Tastyworks tutorial videos, so if you guys want to learn more, be sure to check those out. But we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your week. I hope this video helped, and I'll see you guys all on the next one.